I promise you, the coaches will coach better in order because they know they're going to get recognition. You're going to be on national TV. They have all the reason to come in and watch the Cowboys and wax their ass. So I'm telling you right now, you better play like you playing the Super Bowl and do not give up. And if there's anybody that's ready to play on this team, that's why you went to training camp. You took your ass to training camp to make the football team so you can play. So get your ass out there on the field and play. And stop playing around with, I don't know if he should play. Well, hell, if he on the team, he better get his ass out there and play.
Get his ass out there and play. I love that part. That's probably one of my favorite moments in the Cowboys game. I could still picture Eugene sitting there eating whatever he was eating with Coach Coach John?
Coach John.
Yeah, and getting very fired up in a restaurant. It's supposed to look like a high-end restaurant. I don't know if they want Eugene screaming and yelling, but hey, Cowboys Cave, we apologize. You know, this is live stuff, and you know, we get guests, and this is the first time since Kelly and I's done it, but Thomas Hollywood Henderson had a little emergency that came up, needed to reschedule, so we're going to get him going. Hopefully, we'll get a special day sometime next week because it's kickoff, so we got to move forward with this season. But we'll definitely get Thomas Hollywood Henderson on. He definitely apologizes, but he's going to make it up to us, and we'll get this thing right. So now you just got Kelly and I. We're going to talk some football, some Cowboys football. Maybe keep us abreast of a little college. We got Colorado playing, you know, tonight. See what's going on. But Kelly, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. You know, Cowboys Nation's gonna have to settle for the second best, which is just me and you. But I feel like that's what we do anyway.
You might have me by myself. What's the hell's going on tonight? I feel like I'm being jinxed. Where did Kelly go? Kelly, you look like you're a little frozen. Let me put him to the backside. But hey, Cowboys Nation, it is almost that time. We are just, less than a little over a week, definitely less than 2 weeks away from that kickoff happening. Cowboys are going against the Browns in Cleveland. So we just got to see how you guys are going to be feeling. We're going to be getting you right. We're going to be seeing what is, the roster moves the Cowboys have made. How you feeling about it? And let's see if we get Kelly back. Kelly, you any better? No, we might have to figure it out. But looking at the Cowboys running game, they go ahead and, now he's going to be 20. We didn't know. I knew he wouldn't be Dorsett's number, but we took a shot because that's what he was with Minnesota. But now you've got Dalvin Cook. You got Zeke. What does this really mean for the running game? I think Deuce Vaughn has a spot. What I think this hurts, if it hurts a player, I think it's going to hurt some of Rico because I think, Dalvin and CD or Zeke are kind of two different running backs. So I think Dalvin's going to be taking those carries away from Rico. And I know there's a lot of people. I don't know if you guys are one of them. It's like, no, he's not gone yet unless someone told me. Rico's still there. But, a lot of people are like, man, what are you doing? Dalvin Cook. I mean, it's an older running back. He's 29 years old. He's had 1,000-yard seasons except last season, which he was hurt. I mean, he definitely had an injury and didn't put up his numbers, but he's always been 4.5+ yards a carry, every season. So he's still got, if he's healthy, he's still got some juice. He's still got some tread on the tires. He's still going to be ready. And I think pairing him with Zeke, that's a nice 1-2 punch. Still got Rico. I mean, Rico's got something to say about it, so I'm not trying to dismiss it. But I think long-term or in the meantime, why would you be signing, Dalvin Cook if you're just going to have him be the fourth running back? So I don't think he's going to be the fourth running back. I think the Cowboys are set at running back by committee. That is pretty much, going to be their MO. They're resigned to it. So, I think it's not a move that's going to, change the trajectory of the team, but it's not going to hurt. It's not going to make them so much better, but it's definitely not going to make them worse. Not going to make them worse. So appreciate everyone in the chat. If you're just tuning in, expecting to see Hollywood Henderson, he had a little emergency. He texted me a little bit ago. That's why we were on late. I had to reshuffle our overlays and reshuffle the themes and things like that. So definitely apologize, but he's going to make it up if you're joining in late, and we'll get it going. But for the meantime, you've got Kelly and I, but Kelly's in a basement. He's having issues. Obviously, he talked about his home, and it got flooded. So he went ahead and he's been staying at someone else's house, and that person needs to upgrade their internet because he was falling apart. So, see, I'd rather keep Dowdle. Oh, I just think then you've got one ABC, you've got all the same. And I think they're going to keep all four. I think those are going to be your four running backs. I don't think they're going to trim that up. But I think Dowdle kind of fits the mold of the others to where Deuce Vaughn brings something different to the table. So that would be my reason for keeping Deuce Vaughn in the mix is, and I don't know if I'm right or wrong. And he's wearing 20. So it's going to be like Pollard. It's going to be like we had Pollard all over again. It's going to be Zeke and Pollard back again, except Zeke is wearing 15. Kind of screwed it up. Is Kelly back? I mean, did you reset the internet? You get the little hamster wheel going? What happened?
I did. I don't know what the hell happened. I was working 1 minute, and then the next minute it said 0 internet connection. So I had to reset, log off, and log back on. And I'm back.
Yeah. Well, now you're back. We're glad to have you. I was like, we lost Hollywood. Now we lost Kelly. You got me. Trying to hold it down. But we're talking a little bit about the running game. So now you've got Dalvin Cook. And this is a guy that I think we kind of wanted last year. I remember hearing all the rumbling, hey, wait, let's get Dalvin Cook. Well, now you got him. And maybe some people are pissed off about it. Maybe they're happy. I look back at his career. Some people have this thing of injury prone. He didn't miss hardly any. I think he missed 1 or 2 games in his career at Minnesota. Played with nagging injuries, but he still averaged over 4.5 yards a carry, 4.6 almost every year, except last year with the Jets. You got to remember, he was coming in to be the other running back to Breece Hall. Then he got injured. Then what's his name got hurt? Aaron Rodgers got hurt. Kind of the whole thing blew up, and then he got hurt. So last year was just kind of a shit year of anything that could go wrong went wrong with Dalvin. But he looks like he's in pretty good shape. I mean, what do you feel about the running game room and the running back room now? Do you think it's better? Do you think it's worse? About the same?
Yeah, I think it's better. I feel like that. I expressed it heavily last week. I said that I was not happy with the running backs room that we had currently. I don't think that Dalvin Cook is going to be the guy that we remember that was running for 1,400 yards the last time we saw him out there in Minnesota. I don't know that we'll see that, but again, I don't know that we won't see it because he didn't really get any chances there with New York last year. You got Breece Hall, who's pretty much a bell cow back, and he was there, balling out. I will say that, from the limited time of what I saw him in Baltimore in that playoff game, he had a couple of really nice runs in that game.
He had some juice there. He had some juice.
He did. So, and he's got fresh legs. Still a fairly young running back. He's not over. It's not like he's, it's not like he's old and over the hill or anything like that. So I like it. I think that, he's 29 years old. Okay. And I think, I think Zeke is.
He's about, and he about the same? Or
I think Zeke's right there too. So I feel like they're the same. I feel like they're the same age or close to it. But so I feel like, they're both 29 years old. So I feel like that it bolsters our running back room just because those are two running backs that I feel like if they don't have to get a boatload of carries throughout a game, I think that they can be good. And then you've got Rico Dowdle, who showed some pop. And Deuce Vaughn's on this roster, so that, he might get some opportunities. But I do like the fact that they've bolstered it with more of a veteran running back, a guy who I feel like that you can lean on a little bit more than some guys that may not be able, that just don't have the proven track record that these two guys have. So I don't think it's a bad thing to have what we have in the combination of, Zeke and Dalvin Cook.
Yeah. And I would say, I mean, it's definitely, it's not something that's going to change, right? The trajectory and going to make the Cowboys all of a sudden a favorite. Yeah. It doesn't hurt. I think it's a risk reward. It's very little risk and you can get a nice reward. I was looking at his numbers. I mean, he's 4.6, 4.6, 4.5, 5.0, 4.7, 4.4. Last year, he only had 67 carries, 3.2. Like you said, most of his better runs were in the playoffs when he pretty much didn't play the whole year and was getting back healthy. So it's going to be interesting to see. Now, it's going to be running back by committee. I think the Cowboys have kind of like told us, just by their moves, they didn't draft. It's going to be that. Do you think, I was saying, if this hurts any running back in the room, you think this hurts probably Dowdle in his carries? You think there's going to be carries more taken away from him or Zeke or Deuce Vaughn? I think Deuce Vaughn's a little different, so I think he's one of those gadget guys. I don't think it's going to affect him. I think it hurts Dowdle more, but what do you think?
I think Dowdle's the guy that affects the most, just because I think that Dowdle's been around longer than Deuce Vaughn. I think they're still wanting to see what they have in Deuce. I think that in preseason, again, last year he showed something in preseason. This year, I feel like he showed something a little bit in preseason. And I think that they do want to kind of get him involved a little bit more and kind of utilize him maybe a little bit different, because he can be kind of your gadget type, running back, just because of the fact that he is very quick and shifty, but you kind of got to get him out in open fields. He's not going to be breaking through tackles. He's not a power runner by any, stretch of the imagination. So if they're going to get him involved, I think it's going to be maybe kind of lining him up, maybe as out a receiver, putting him up there, getting him the ball, throwing him out of the backfield, screen type game, stuff like that with him. I think Dowdle ultimately is the one who will suffer from the Cook signing, because I don't think they had enough confidence in him, and I don't think they had enough confidence in just him and Zeke. So I think that, and somebody just said, Ultra said he believed that it hurts Zeke. I don't think so, because I think they brought Zeke in for short yardage type situations to get those tough yards. And I believe that Zeke is the kind of running back that still gets you that. He's not going to be, he's kind of a 2.5, 3 yards in a cloud of dust type guy. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be a guy who's going to be physical. He's still a physical running back. So yeah, that's my opinion.
I always said, I think Zeke's kind of career, like the latter half, right, is he can be kind of like that. Who's the guy that was on Green Bay? Then he went to Detroit, the running back.
Lacey?
James, come on, help me out in the chat. He signed with Detroit, and then he was on Green Bay. He just got a ton of touchdowns. I just remember in fantasy like 20 touchdowns. I think he could be kind of like that, or like a Mark Ingram. I think he could be that kind of maybe career at the last half of his year. Is he going to be the Zeke of the first 5 or 6 years of his career? No, but I think he could be effective, and I agree with you. I think Dalvin is just going to bring something different, so I don't think it's going to change what's going on there. The one thing that's going to change is all these guys that wanted Dak gone, and they've been riding Shedeur Sanders. I mean, they're losing to North Dakota State. I mean, they're Division II team, and I understand that they're a good team.
Hold on, what channel are they playing on? Because I'm gonna have to put this on my phone.
I just went on the live, score update, because I saw my son put.
I want to keep this on in the background if Colorado. I'm not on like Colorado. Not to get too far off topic, but when Sanders first went to Colorado, I was rooting for him, and I thought, you know what? I want to see him succeed. I think this would be a cool success story. But I'm going to be honest with you. I think that Sanders has rubbed off on his son in the wrong way. I think his son is an arrogant douche, and I'm sorry for anybody that likes Shedeur Sanders. I think he's a douchebag. I don't like the way he talks. I don't like the way he acts. I don't like none of that, because you have won all of 4 fucking games.
4 games.
In the D1 program, and you're talking like that you're the next coming of Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
I don't think that goes over well in a locker room. I don't think it goes over well with your teammates. I don't think it goes over well in an NFL locker room for sure. I just do not like that, the cockiness and the brashness of these guys that walked in. I mean, be humble first and then be cocky once you actually do something, because these guys ain't done shit yet.
Oh, absolutely. And I apologize, Ultra. Sanders got 65 yards on the first drive against a Division II team. Oh, I apologize. It's funny how stats matter. Stats matter to other people, but wins are the only thing that matters to Dak. Statistically, Dak will have every record in Cowboys history, but no one with glasses or with good vision is going to know that he wasn't the best quarterback in Cowboys history. But it's funny how the narrative changes. Stats mean something for everyone else, but wins and championships are the only thing that matter to Dak Prescott. Shedeur Sanders is going to be a bust. He's going to be a bust. And if he comes to Dallas, to me, if the Cowboys move on from Dak and they bring on Sanders, then it just solidifies that Jerry Jones gives two shits about winning, and he just wants to be marketing, and he just wants all the media attention, because that's all it's going to do is bring a bunch of media attention, and it'll blow up in their face. So I hope it works out. I like primetime. Now I love me some primetime, man, but yeah, I'm not a, and I like Colorado. I like the story, but it's like, man, just ease up on this guy. He won 4 games. In college football.
Well, and not
they should destroy this team. I bet money on Colorado, so I want them to win. So believe me, I'm upset.
Well, it's there's great college football players that do great in college football, but I mean, look at how look at Johnny Manziel, how great he was at Texas A&M, but look at that cockiness. Look at how he was perceived. It's kind of almost, to me, it's mirroring the Shedeur Sanders thing. It's this, this lavish lifestyle, the money, Johnny Manziel's money thing.
Oh, yeah. I love Manziel too.
But all that, as a college player, yes, I did. I loved it. But you know what? That attitude and that type of the way that you approach things, it did not work out at the next level at all. And I'm not saying they're the same in terms of their passion and love for football. I'm just saying Shedeur Sanders is already at this moment putting a target on his back for when he goes into the NFL. He's going to have a bullseye on his back. And as being the son of Deion Sanders and probably, more than likely a top 10 draft pick, you're already going to have that target. You don't need to add more to that target on your back. And I just think it's not a good look for him. And I don't think it's going to bode well for him at the next level. So.
No. And like I said, he's doing exactly what you're supposed to do against a D2 team, except it's keeping it close. But like I said, I got $50 on Colorado. I gave the 9.5. I listened to Uncle Cheech. I said, I'm going to just do it on my own. Give me something to, watch. But the thing with the quarterback, there's a reason why Brady, there's a reason why Purdy, there's a reason why Mahomes, there's a reason why you see these guys, that it's business maturity. They're not all over the social media stuff. They're not all of that. It works for every other position but a quarterback. A quarterback's a CEO of the company. And, it's just been proven that that's where you got to be. And I just don't see with him. It's nothing against him. He's probably a great kid. He's got plenty of money and all that kind of stuff. But I don't want that in Dallas. How's that? If you want to move on from Dak, so be it. But if you're bringing in, the circus into town, then it just shows me that winning isn't a priority. It's all about marketing and media attention. But we'll see. Sure. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But anyway, what else? The 53-man roster. You saw that some cut down. Anything that surprised you? Any moves that kind of had you scratching your head a little bit? I know there's a lot of people that are like, why did we keep Trey Lance? We could have kept, Wood, undrafted free agent who had a big, he had a big training camp preseason. He ends up getting picked up by, I think, the Titans. You had a couple other guys that, that didn't make the team. Anything surprise you? Or are you okay with them keeping Lance as kind of still that, project quarterback that they're trying to maybe develop?
Me personally, I gave up on the Trey Lance project. I think that's a done deal. I don't understand how anybody that saw him throw 5 interceptions and fumble twice thinks that that's a quarterback that has shown any signs of improvement. I know there's people that's saying he's in the wrong system. He needs to be in a system more kind of like what Jalen Hurts is in, kind of like what they had Brock Purdy in. This thing where it's the run pass option. I don't give a shit what system he's in. I just don't see it. I see bad footwork. I see bad vision. I see him locking on to receivers. I see this throwing at 100 miles an hour when it's over the middle. I see him overthrowing guys when they're open in the end zone for them little fade routes where you got to put a little touch on it. I think Trey Lance is a wasted roster spot. But I think that Jerry's ego obviously played a little bit into it. I don't think he wanted to say that, you know what, we gave up a 4th round draft pick and this guy is not going to ever start for this team, let alone even be the backup quarterback for this team. So, you know, you said something, I think it was last week, that I could get on board with, and that was that if Dak Prescott, you know, heaven forbid Dak Prescott go down with a season-ending injury, but let's say, you know, week 3, not week 3, that'd be when we're there. Let's say week 4.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
No, but you know, it's early point in the season. You know, Cowboys are doing well. Dak Prescott goes down. I think your season's done. I don't think Cooper Rush is coming in and saving the day. I know he had that stretch where he played pretty good. He won 5, but I just don't think ultimately you're going anywhere with Cooper Rush. You're not going to win a Super Bowl with Cooper Rush there. So what's the point of being competitive at that point if your star quarterback goes down? At that point, I agree with what you said. I'd put Lance in for the long haul there and let him play out the rest of the season and just kind of see, you know, what you got. Because if nothing else, I mean, if he's terrible, I mean, you know, what do? You just improve your draft pick and then maybe put you in position to draft a quarterback next year. But under no circumstances do I think that Trey Lance ever is the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, unless it was a season-ending injury to Dak Prescott this year. I don't think he's on the team next year. And to be honest with you, I don't know that Trey Lance is in the NFL, period, next year.
Yeah, he's still young. I think I wouldn't, you know, I think he's going to get an opportunity because he shows the flashes, right? That run 48-yard or whatever that was. I mean, he shows he has that playability that's going to be intriguing, the speed. He had a couple nice throws. I mean, he just doesn't have reps. I mean, I think the 3-game stretch he had was the most that he threw the ball since high school. You know what I mean? It's like he just never really seemed to have the opportunities, injuries, and all the other stuff that kind of went with. He's 24 years old. I would say this: I don't have an issue. I know people are killing the Cowboys sometimes for making that trade. I don't have a problem with the trade. I think, you know, a 4th round pick on a potential, you know, talent at quarterback, I would do that all day long. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, I mean, go down the list of the 4th round draft picks that the Cowboys had the last 5 years. It's not like they're, you know, you're going to hit home. It's a chance, right? You probably have more 5th and 6th round draft picks that are on this team than 4th rounders, right? So I don't have a big problem with it. And I think possibly that maybe with Trey as he gets going, maybe there's packages. I mean, do you think that's crazy? Do you think if they had a couple packages, either like, you know, not the wildcat, but kind of like where you're putting him under center and maybe he throws runs, because he does, man, he's got some wheels. I mean, he definitely has some athletic ability. Do you see anything like that, the Cowboys doing it? Or
I wouldn't be against seeing them do something like kind of like what they do with the Taysom Hill type deal, where, you know, put him in, you create a couple of packages of him just because of that explosiveness he has in the run game. Under no circumstances do I want to see him throw a pass in an actual game, because I just don't think I don't think he's it. You know, it's the preseason game, and it's funny though, because I saw people that were saying, well, he threw 5 interceptions. They're like, but, you know, he's not playing with the ones. He doesn't have the ones. And I said, well, yeah, but he's also playing against third stringers too. So don't give him that shit, because it's third stringers against third stringers, and he's throwing picks to guys who probably aren't going to be on a roster next week. So it's pretty even. It's not like he was playing against the number ones in the defense and he still threw 5 picks and fumbled twice. That's not good. And he hadn't looked great. But as far as for putting him in a package, you know, or something like that, where it's maybe have him and Dak in the backfield at the same time. You know, Dak is quarterback, you got Lance back, in something kind of like that. I think that you could do some interesting things with Trey Lance in terms of, you know, catching the defense off guard and using his mobility for a home run threat, because he definitely does have the wheels to take it deep and go all the way, run that ball all the way to the end zone when he gets it in his hands. So yeah, I guess we'll see. I don't know if that justifies enough for a roster spot for him, for a guy that I just don't see a future for in Dallas. That's my whole thing. I don't see a future for him here. So, if I don't see a future for you, why am I going to take a roster spot away from a guy that might have a future here in Dallas? And I think there was a couple of guys that they let go that might, have been able to catch on had they gotten the spot here. But, it didn't happen that way. And Trey Lance is going to be that third QB spot. So it is what it is. We're rolling with who we got.
Yeah, and the thing is he's, they didn't pick up his option, so he's, pretty much a free agent after this. So if Dallas, if Dak moved on and they wanted to keep him, they're either going to have to franchise him or they're going to have to pay him. And I'm not saying he would get the big money, but he'd probably sign like a 2-year, decent size contract. And that way, if he did well, then he's has an opportunity to get some big money. So it'll play itself out. I don't want to be too hard on him in the preseason, but the reality is he's not. I mean, life could be very sad for Cowboy fans during the season and for years to come if that's kind of what you're going to be looking at. And I always say, be careful what you wish for because you just might get it. There is I'm going to pivot to something, and then I want to pivot back to quarterback because there was an interesting thing I want to get your thoughts on. But Ryan Flournoy, we had his trainer back when he was in his hometown, Kason in the building, and talked a little bit about Ryan and his skill set, his heart, his drive. And I mean, we all thought, this kid's got an opportunity to make the roster, hopefully contribute some. I don't think you're expecting, a ton out of a, your fourth or fifth receiver, but you do want to, hopefully you're grooming someone because, like I said, Brandon Cooks, he's probably, this could probably be his last year. He's not getting any younger. And obviously Tolbert, this is an important year for him to make that next step with more opportunities. But what do you think of the wide receiver room and also Ryan as a whole? Now, is it better or worse than last year? What's your thoughts?
I definitely don't think it's worse because, you've got CeeDee Lamb coming back. He's going to do what he's going to do. You've got Brandon Cooks with a second year with Dak Prescott. Looked like that connection was clicking pretty well in training camp. I think that connection is going to be better because Cooks didn't catch on until, I think it was 6 games into the season. So you're going to have a guy, Cooks, who's integrated into the offense already this year. Now you've got a guy in Jalen Tolbert, who I'm really excited to see on the field because I think he's going to make a big leap this year. I think Jalen Tolbert is going to solidify, and I think he'll do more at that number 3 receiver spot than we saw Michael Gallup do last year, who there were just a lot of inconsistencies out of. And then you've got a kid like Flournoy, who is probably going to, make some flashes, get some chances. You've still got Turpin, who I think they've kind of figured out how to use him and when to use him. And he's a guy who can be a deep threat. I like our receiving core a lot better this year than I did last year. Honestly, I would say, outside of, Philly, I'd say that, I feel like we got one of the top wide receiver groups in the NFC. I'd still, I hate them, obviously, and I hate to say it and give them any credit. I'd say Philly, I think, has the best wide receiver group right now. Today, but will it be the way at the end of the year? We'll see. Because I'm anxious to see what Tolbert and a guy like Flournoy can do, you know what I mean? And see what they can blossom into, having opportunities this year within this offense. But I say we still got I feel like this is a wide receiver group that's better this year than they were last year.
Yeah, I think Tolbert's going to be better, and I think he'll be better than what Gallup was. Obviously, the injury, all that kind of stuff. And I think Flournoy, will be better or at least as good as what Tolbert was last year, right? Tolbert, the opportunities given, he made plays. He just wasn't given a lot of opportunities. You had Gallup in and out, and you had Cooks, and now you're obviously Ferguson. I think we all, we don't add him as a receiver, but at the end of the day, he's a receiver, and we expect him to take, a lot of catches, as well. So he's going to be eating some of that pie. Only so much pie to go around. So we'll see what happens. But the interesting thing is, I think the Eagles have the better receiving core, for being honest with ourselves and not being too much of a homer. But the interesting thing is, it still comes down to the quarterback. And there was an interesting ranking that came out from their peers. This is from NFL Players Survey, the most overrated quarterbacks in the NFL. And number 1 was Josh Allen, and number 2 was Jalen Hurts. And not on that list in the top 10 was Dak Prescott. And it's interesting because Dak is so polarizing to the fans outside Dallas, within Dallas. Josh Allen always seems like he kind of gets a pass. This is going to be a big year test for him because you're losing Diggs. I mean, he lost most of his receiving core. I mean, they got, I think, Keon Coleman they drafted, and then Jalen Hurts, who, I mean, was on, everyone's number 1, kind of fell off a little bit last year. But what's your thoughts on that list?
First of all, I tweeted that list out, and I did enjoy it. I enjoy being able to give Eagles fans shit whenever I can. So seeing that list brought a big old smile to your boy's face. I agree that Jalen Hurts is highly overrated. I think that, him making that Super Bowl run, I think he gets way too much credit for, in my opinion, one of the most stacked rosters that I've seen in the NFC in a while. That roster was stacked. I mean, both sides of the ball, they were pretty damn good. And I obviously, I don't like the Eagles. I hate giving them any credit, but I don't think that was a team that Jalen Hurts carried. I think it was the other way around. I think that team carried him. And I don't care what anybody says. The departure of Kelce off the center of that offensive line, calling out pass protections last year, basically the quarterback of that offense, because he was calling out protections. Whereas, you see that Dak's the one that's doing that within our offense. Dak's the one that's kind of, calling out protections, where it was Kelce that was kind of doing that for them. So I feel like that that's a big loss for that Eagles offense. There's no way to cut it. It doesn't matter if their center that they have that's coming in this year. Who's their starting center? Is it
the guy they had? He was the younger guy. He was being groomed. He said Kelsey's been grooming him.
Yeah, well, either way, I think there's going to be a drop off, and a significant drop off. And there was an article that was basically talking about there was a opposing defensive coach for a team, I guess, that practiced and scrimmage against the Eagles, that said that Jalen Hurts panics in a zero blitz when teams line up as a zero blitz, whether they're bringing, whether they're coming all out or whether they're dropping back. They said that he panics, and it's something that they caught on to. And anyway, there was kind of an article posted. It'd be interesting to see if defensive coordinators test that theory, because when that happens with Dak Prescott, Dak Prescott's one of the best quarterbacks in the league against the blitz. He will shred you apart if you blitz him. So it'll be interesting to see if defensive coordinators kind of lock onto that with Jalen Hurts. But you're right. Cowboys got the best quarterback in the NFC East, and that is what I think continues to give them the edge in this division.
Yeah, I mean, it always comes down. I was trying to find the list. I don't know if you have it, because I knew the first two, and then
the quarterbacks,
the quarterback. If you have it handy, I'm just curious who the other ones. I know it, but I don't know the order. But and I would say in the chat, definitely, I agree. I agree with Ultra sometimes. I disagree with him. But the one thing I said this a bunch, and I had to tell it to my kid, because he gets crazy about it. But when a divisional rival trades you one of their first round draft picks, it's still young. I mean, he's still on his rookie deal. Something's up. I mean, there's something ain't right. So I'm not sold, on him gonna, but I could, maybe a new scenery, it will be the change for him. He obviously has talent. He wouldn't have been drafted in the first round. So, but I always get a little concerned when I see that. It's kind of like the red flag and the sirens going off in your head. So that's one of the other things. The other thing I'd say on Jalen Hurts, and then we're going to get back to this list, is there's some dynamic going on in Philly. Now, I've talked to Philly fans, and they don't disagree. There's something there between the coach, the quarterback, and then you had the coordinator. There's just something ain't jiving. So keep your eye on that. And then with their losses on defense, Fletcher Cox is going to be, that's a loss. I mean, they got rid of, they lost they traded the pass rusher, right? What was his name? I want to say it was a New England guy, but I'm forgetting his name. Who
Hassan
Reddick. And then they're touting all these rookies that they drafted at cornerback, which that's always trouble. And then I saw something come out. Again, it's preseason, so I don't want to get too crazy. But who's it? Dejean, the one guy. He's at the worst. Yeah, the worst rating of any of the rookies in preseason at quarterback.
Well, I saw an Eagles content creator the other day, and here's my thing. I don't go on the Eagles content creator shit. I don't watch it. I don't give a damn. But when stuff comes through my feed, because it does, because there's, that's the way the algorithm works. But I saw an Eagles content creator, and he said, I hate to admit it, and he goes, but I think Cooper DeJean may be more suited as a safety. That right there tells me that and listen, the other thing I'll say before we can get back to this list is that, listen, the whole thing about Jalen Hurts making history in training camp because he only threw one interception the entire train, that's not a good thing. I don't care what anybody says. That's not a good thing. You're telling me that, okay, first of all, we already know Jalen Hurts is not a polished passer. Jalen Hurts is not a guy who should not be throwing interceptions against your defense. If he's not throwing interceptions against your defense in training camp, you've got a problem.
Especially when the quarterbacks are forcing the ball sometimes because they want them. It's not like,
no, exactly. And it's like, Patrick Mahomes throws interceptions, and he's the best quarterback in the league, but he throws picks in training camp. Like, if you're able to shred your defense like that and you're not throwing no picks, that lets you know your defense is trash. And I'm going to be honest with you, I think Philadelphia's defense is going to be trash again.
Well, and the guy they just trashed, and then they brought him back. But thanks for Doug for the heads up.
Bradbury.
Boy's been working, but Bradbury's out 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go overboard and be too over on one side because I do still think Philly's got talent on that team. But I think that defense is going to be a liability. And I think that they're going to lose more games this year than they did last year. I think last year they got very, very lucky. I remember last year I said that they were going to go 8-9. And what did they end up winning? 10?
They were one game. Yeah, were they
10 or 11?
I can't remember. I thought we were one game better than them, but I don't remember them winning 11. I thought they were like 10.
They won 10. I thought they won 10
and 7. Hey, let me just do a quick thing because I gotta. If someone attacks Uncle Cheech and gives wrong information, SoCal put in the chat that Cheech's lock of the week was this game against Colorado. It was not his lock of the week. So just so you guys understand, his lock of the week was Georgia and
Florida State last week. Okay,
that's his lock.
No.
Anyway, I just want to clear it. I don't want Uncle Cheech getting. Yeah, I don't want him having people knocking on my door. I mean, maybe they're gonna knock on SoCal. They ain't knocking on this door. I'm gonna make sure it's out in the open. Uncle Cheech did not pick that. I played that one on my own. Has nothing to do with Uncle Cheech's lock of the week. So anyway, go ahead.
Well, the Eagles won 11, and I think I couldn't remember if I said that they were going to win 9 or 8 games, but I do know there was at least 3 games that I watched of theirs that they won off of sheer luck, and I'm talking about like they got very lucky. They weren't very far away from winning just 8 games last year.
Yeah, they won 11.
So there was 3 games I watched: the Buffalo game, the Kansas City game, and I think it may have been Detroit. I can't, but there was 3 games I watched that they should have lost all 3 of those games. They got lucky, very lucky. So I say that to say this. I feel like that the Eagles are not going to be as good as a lot of people are expecting them to be. Definitely not what their fans are expecting them to be. And I think week 1 that they lose to Green Bay over there in Dublin. They play next Friday night. And it's weird for having a Friday night game in the NFL, but they're playing in Brazil. And I think they lose week 1. I think they lose to Green Bay.
And the thing is it's just like I said last week. it drives me insane that the NFL and now college football allow this to happen and take games away from these teams. I think it's BS because you don't know. I mean, teams are about, they got a routine. It's consistency, that, whole thing. And you're sending these guys to different parts of the world, to promote your game or whatever, but you're doing it during regular season games where these games matter. I mean, it's 8 home games, 9 now for the NFC. So one of these guys is losing a home game. That's not good. And
no,
I agree with you. I think the Eagles lose week 1, but it's one of those I hate. It drives me nuts. These overseas games, it drives me crazy. But I think you're right with the Eagles. I think especially the fan base is kind of on edge, and if they go in and lose to Green Bay the first week of the season, I don't know how much patience they're going to have. They wanted that coach gone last year, right? I mean,
yep.
So
there's already talk that he's on the hot seat this year. Listen, they what is laughable to me is that they're literally talking about that Nick Sirianni as a head coach does less than any other. They have taken everything away from him. He doesn't have anything to do with offensive game planning. That's all Kellen Moore. He doesn't have anything to do with the defensive. They even said that the front office schedules the practice times, the workout schedules. What the fuck do you got this dude for if he does none of that? What is he doing?
Literally, I don't know. I think they brought Big Al back. So that's the thing with with the Eagles. But let's go back to the quarterback. And I do want to talk about the draft.
I got
and ultra, we were going to have Hollywood Henderson for you guys who tuned in late. Hollywood Henderson had had an unfortunate emergency, so we had to reschedule. But he was part of one of the Cowboys' greatest draft classes.
Dirty Dozen.
The Dirty Dozen. They had 12 guys from that draft class. That's back when they had all those rounds make the team. And you're talking about starters that made that team. So we're going to talk a little bit that with Hollywood, but we're definitely going to get into this draft thing. But go back on that quarterback list.
Okay, so we talked about the top 2, which is Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts. Number 3 on the list, who is actually tied with number 2 with Jalen Hurts, was Tua Tagovailoa. We've got number 3 was Justin Herbert, which I wholeheartedly agree with.
Yes.
Thank you for somebody saying it. Number 4 was Trevor Lawrence. Number 5 was Deshaun Watson. Remember when Deshaun Watson was talked about as being a superior quarterback to Dak Prescott? How has that worked out for people lately? Not very well. Number 6 was Kyler Murray. And then number 7 was the 49ers' Brock Purdy, which I was saying all last year myself. I think Brock Purdy has been carried by a really great offensive-minded coaching staff that can do less with more, can do more with less. With his quarterback situations, I think that they really dumbed down that offense for him, and I think they've got a lot of great playmakers, which helps too, and a really good defense, which also helps a young quarterback. But I don't think Brock Purdy is a top 10 quarterback in this league. I don't even know that he's top 15 in my opinion.
Well, let me ask you this question because it's going to be interesting. So they signed Ayuk, right? He got a 4-year, $120 million, $30 million a year. Debo's signed. You got McCaffrey. I mean, you're getting all these guys, right? And they're living off of rookie quarterback, salary, which is give the Niners credit for doing something Dallas didn't do when they had Dak under that, rookie deal. But if you're the 49ers, do you pay him? Because he's going to demand, 60 plus million by the time his contract, after this year, that number is going to be going back. So what is, do you let him go and just try and get another system guy, or do you think they're going to pay him?
That's a good question. I don't know, man. I don't know. There's I don't know, man. I don't know how that will work out. What do you think?
I don't think they're going to pay him. I don't know, man. I think they're going to draft a quarterback. I think you're getting to a point with these salaries and these, these escalating quarterback salaries. Could you get to a point where the coach is like, I got a system. I'm going to get a quarterback, and he's going to go in my system. I mean, take a look at San Francisco. I mean, kind of look at what they've been able to do. Did I lose Kelly again, or is he doing his Jerry Jones? But let me put him to the side, see if he gets back in. But if you take, he won with Garoppolo. You know, he's winning with Purdy. They won with the other. Didn't he have another quarterback? My memory is starting to fade. See, I can't remember all this stuff. He's kind of been winning with different quarterbacks, and not quarterbacks that are on the elite level, but he's getting elite results from them. So could Kyle Shanahan be like, dude, are we going to really throw 60 plus million on a quarterback when I believe in my system? I think I can put a quarterback in my system and he could be successful, and we can just build all the pieces around him. And you just, like I said, you wonder as this game evolves. You saw with running backs. I mean, there was a time the running backs were paid as much as quarterbacks. I mean, they were some of the highest paid players in the NFL. And now running backs, I mean, they make peanuts compared to what these other guys. You think about a receiver, you know, look, CeeDee Lamb, he catches, let's say, 7 passes a game, and he's getting $34 million. He impacts the game. But I would argue, and every coach, when you talk about him, what do we got to do? We got to run the football. We got to run the football. Run the football. You're not going to win unless you can run the football. And so they're just throwing running backs in there and just kind of shuffling them out, use them, abuse them, wear them down, and send them on their way. So it's going to be interesting, because even look at cornerbacks. Cornerbacks used to be, you know, the highest paid. They've kind of come down. Linebackers is like that position on defense where most of them aren't getting paid, you know, hardly anything anymore, unless you're the elite of the elite. And they'll throw Parsons as a linebacker, but we know he's not. If you're not rushing the passer, you're not going to get paid like that. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how that plays out. But, you know, that's just my take on the quarterbacks. And I think that's kind of maybe what the Cowboys are seeing is like, man, we're going to pay Dak all this money, but understand this, the salary cap is a farce. The salary cap is going to shoot up in a couple years anyway. If the Cowboys want Dak and can pay and want to pay him, they can do it. And they can do Parsons. I mean, you looked at what Deshaun Watson, you know, that was that huge deal, all guaranteed, all this and that. They just moved some money around, did this with him. And the next thing you know, the Cleveland Browns have the most cap space in the NFL, like $60+ million. And they were making these signings. So I don't really buy into the cap being a problem. I think it's the owners. Do they really want to pay that? And they're the ones who are doing it. I mean, it was 2 years ago, these guys are making $40 million. Now it's up to 60. So the owners can't control themselves and you know, and stay firm to where, hey man, Patrick Mahomes should be the highest paid quarterback. We ain't paying a quarterback higher than him until we see some championship rings out of him. So it's going to be, you know, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Let's see what we got in the chat. Will they have a cube? You know, that's what they've talked about. But I mean, like I said, cap's bullshit to me anyway. Our offensive line is going to get destroyed in week 1. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to, Cleveland's good. I don't think they're going to get destroyed. I think we're going to have some trouble. Kelly's back. What's up, man?
We've got some either weather or we got some internet issues here. I don't know what it is, but I got kicked off again. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. North Dakota, I mean, Dion may not make it past one game before getting fired. I mean, wasn't there a time it was like humiliating if you're a power, you know?
Oh, if they get beat by North Dakota State, and hey, let it just tell you this.
Good. I mean, North Dakota is a good football team. Make no mistake about it, but their division is good.
Colorado should win this game with the recruits that they have, though, with the guys that they have. Because I guarantee you, North Dakota State I bet you they don't got no 5-star guys on that team.
No.
I'd bet you there's no 5-star players on that team. And I'll tell you this, it's not going to get any easier for Colorado because next week they're coming to Lincoln, Nebraska, right up the road from me, and they're playing the Nebraska Cornhuskers. And I'm going to say this, Nebraska ain't been that great last year. Colorado beat them last year, but they have Dylan Raiola, who is with the #1 quarterback recruit coming out of high school this year. And, say what you want about, the Huskers and kind of where they've been as a program. But I really like Matt Rule as a coach. I think he wasn't a great head coach in the NFL, but he's going to turn that program around. I really think he's going to. I saw what he did with Baylor, within the Big 12, and saw what he did with them. It was a pretty quick turnaround there. From year to year, they improved. I think he's going to do it. I think this year Nebraska could be a team that could go from, I think last year they won 5 or 6. I think this year they could be an 8-win program pretty easily with that, with having a stable quarterback. So don't get no easier for Colorado next week.
No, it's going to be tough. So let's flip it a little bit. I talked about quarterback while you're gone. I was finishing my points on Purdy, but let's look at this draft because we, a lot of times we're hard on Jerry, and you're one of the hardest ones on Jerry. Sometimes you almost get the inner Jerry in you and have to bring it out. So, but you got to give credit where credit is due. Now we got to see it play out, but early indications. Let me just run through this draft. Tyler Guyton, Marshawn Nealon, Cooper Beebe, I'll butcher his name, Luafau. Did I say it right? Luafau?
Yep.
Luafau. Carson, Flournoy. And then you had Nathan Thomas and Justin Rogers. I know Justin Rogers got cut. He got picked up by a team. Nathan Thomas, I don't know. But you're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4. Your first 6 picks in the draft all are, I would argue, and you tell me any of these that wouldn't be, all contributors on this team this year. And what did we talk about? What did you and I talk about when the offseason came in and they didn't do anything?
Because they're going to need to hit.
I said they have to hit home run and some triples and maybe a double, but they cannot whiff on this draft. This draft has to be impactful, and it's going to put pressure on these guys. But, I know the first 3 guys are – I'm going to say Nealon's a starter. He's in the rotation. He's going to be in the rotation. Guyton's a starter. Beebe's a starter. Luafau's a starter. Carson's a starter. You got 5 guys that are starters. And then you got Flournoy, who's could see some opportunity. That is pretty damn amazing. If that plays itself out.
What did we say? We said it was going to be a lot. That is a big ask. It's a big ask to have to go in there to draft a rookie class and to expect the majority of those rookies to make an impact in year 1. Yet here we are with several of these rookies that are going to be starters day 1. And it's, I don't think it doesn't get any more impressive than that. Now, obviously, we have to see this play out for a full season because these guys could come in there. We could start all these rookies and they could be complete ass, right? They could go in there and they could be absolute ass. But if you use the preseason as any kind of indicator, which I do think that the preseason, it can be a good judge of what you're going to see, then I think that Beebe, I think that, Guyton, I think that, I think all those rookies, they're going to have their hiccups because every rookie does. No rookie comes in and plays absolutely flawless. Tyler Smith had a few hiccups along the way, his rookie season. But I think these guys are all going to be guys that we look at the end of the year and go, how the hell did we draft? How the hell did we get these dudes? Where we got them and nobody else got these guys. If we could be talking about Tyler Guyton at the end of the year, talking about that he's the best offensive lineman in this draft, possibly. And you could talk about the fact that Cooper Beebe slid down into the 3rd round, and you got a starting offensive lineman, quality starting offensive lineman in the 3rd round. Not many teams do that. And, we've talked about this Cowboys, their propensity to be able to draft great, good offensive linemen. They seem to be able to hit on offensive line. Well, they also seem to be hit on a lot of others too, because let's face it, they've hit on DBs when you talk about Deron Bland, even Trayvon Diggs, the fact that he is who he is and has risen to the ilk of some of the great DBs in the NFL. It's a great thing to see that this Dallas Cowboys team, if they can do one thing right, they can draft. And And that is a good thing to see to already have one of the youngest teams in the NFL and to now add this draft class to it. I mean, it's impressive.
No, I mean, it is. And this is what gets them in the trouble that they're in. And what I mean by that, not in a bad way, but they draft so well that all these guys are going to get paid, and they need to get paid, and you can't pay them all. That's why it's so critical for this team to continue to, to draft well, because it is. You're not going to be able to keep them all. Like I said, like a Deron Bland, you're going to have a hard time making him, a high-paid cornerback, and you got Diggs a high-paid cornerback, but he's going to be due. And you're going to have these dilemmas in offensive linemen. You're going to run into this stuff. But I talked about it. It's like the offensive line is 25 and under, except for Martin. I mean, and someone was trying to trash our offensive line. I think this offensive line is going to be better and better and better. Now, maybe the first week, there's going to be some welcome to the NFL moments. I mean, you're going up against one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. There's going to be, but I trust that McCarthy's going to game plan. You might see a heavier dose of Zeke in the game, more for pass protection. But they get things done, and they're going to be better and better and better. And you look at this young defense, and I mean, this is one of the youngest teams in the NFL, and they've been that way year in and year out. And I don't know if these signings that they got late in training camp, maybe that upped their age a little bit, because they did get some guys that are some veterans. But I said it to a guy today. It's like, this is what they needed to do. I never told them to and banged on the table to go get the biggest free agent, spend all the money. I said, be strategic. Get veteran guys that got some dog in them, that got some championship experience, that can bring the change of mindset. And they kind of did that in the end. It took them a little while. Maybe they were listening to you, Kelly, and they finally got with it. But I'm liking what I'm seeing from this roster today, compared to where we left off in a disappointing playoff loss. Did Kelly freeze again? Or are you thinking? Kelly is having some internet issues. I might need another host. I might have to get someone else in here. Let me move him back, because I don't think you want to see him thinking too hard, and hopefully he'll jump back in on the stage. But I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, how excited are you for these guys? Do you think we're putting too much into it? Do you think we're getting a little crazy and putting too much pressure? Because that's the thing that I always worry about with young guys is, how do they handle the pressure? Can they handle the pressure? Because the NFL is just, I mean, it's such a different game from college. I mean, you're talking about so many few guys get drafted, and you compare that to how many people in the NFL, and as the ladder gets higher, it definitely the pressure, it rises. But I think the Cowboys did an outstanding job in the draft. All good ones handle the pressure. I hope so. I hope they all will handle the pressure fine. And here, Kelly's texted me, so maybe he's just finally crapped out. Let's see. He's having some major. Now, you guys know he's not at his house. He's kind of in another spot, and maybe there's some stuff going on around the neighborhood that's hurting that internet. But we got to get that better. But anyway, yeah, the defensive tackles. Now, Mozzie, you're hoping Mozzie can do something. If not, they did get some reinforcement. They did get some big bodies. And again, they're going to be filling, plugging those holes and just eating up space. And that's all you're really going to ask them to do. I don't think they're asking any of these guys. It's not like Aaron Donald, where you're asking him to be a big pass rusher as a defensive tackler, like a Warren Sapp back in the day. So, yeah, I wish they got better at that, but I'm not going to give up on Mozzie yet. I'm hoping he can be solid. The only thing I'm giving up on is Michigan. That is, have they been stripped of their national title yet? Everything's off the record books now, so we don't have to hear Michigan talking about their national championship. That thing has been removed. We're not crowning a national champion this season. So I'm only kidding. I'm not a big Michigan guy. So, and then I still got PTSD from the taco. I was at that draft in Philly, and we could have had Watt, but we ended up with Taco. So Yes, thank you. I didn't know Falk was in here, so yeah, absolutely. I'm not a mission, but I'd like to see Miami go into that conference, and if the ACC eventually kind of falls apart, which I think eventually you're just gonna have these big super conferences, and I don't think the ACC's got enough depth of team to survive. I think with Florida State, Clemson, I think who'd they bring in? They brought in SMU, they brought in Cal, they brought in Stanford. I mean, that's really not gonna move the needle. And I like some of the rivalries that the Canes have historically with some of the Big Ten. Plus, they travel well and they have a big fan base, and they'll help fill up the stadium. Because I always tell people give Miami a lot of shit for their lack of attendance, but I always have to remind everyone, because people don't know, Miami is a private school. It's a private college. The enrollment, I think, is like 8,000 students. So you're asking, 70 plus thousand people in Miami to come watch football. And I'm just telling you, Miami's not a sports town. They're a winning town. I grew up down there. If you're winning, they're going to fill up every stadium. But if you're not winning, there's too many things to do in Miami and in South Florida. Football is it's on the list, but it's never been a big college town. It's obviously more professional. The Dolphins are still do well. And I see you, Ultra. You've said it like 5 times. I'm not going to put it on there, but the Canes, they got 5, like you said with the Cowboys. I mean, why is this different? The Canes, at least they won in the 2000s. You got to at least give me that. But they've got 5 championships. They got 5 national championships, legit national championships. I saw them. Can't take those away. So if that's it, I want to see that same intensity when these Eagles come in cracking on the Cowboys. I want to see that intensity go back. But the Canes are stacked. The Canes are the only thing I don't, if we talk a little college football, the only thing that concerns me a little bit about Miami in the first game, you're going to Gainesville. Gainesville is a tough place to play. Heat is not going to be an issue. They're wearing their white uniforms. I was surprised that and it wouldn't matter for either one of these teams. I mean, they're playing in Florida, so it's hot everywhere. But they've got a new quarterback. They've got a new running back. They got a lot of, offensive linemen. They've got a lot of defensive linemen, transfer portal. They've done very well in a transfer portal. They've done very well recruiting over the last couple of years. So there is some transition there going on, with a lot of new faces. And you're starting off against a big rival, one of the big rivals in the state. And you don't have a tune-up game. And I'm a big fan of tune-up games. I think you should have tune-up games in college football because you don't really have much of a preseason. So I wish that they would have had like a gimme game and then go to Florida because I think Miami's the better team. But I think when you're in these types of games where it's the best, you're playing these teams, I would rather play the better team early. So I think for Florida, I think they're preferring to play Miami now. They wouldn't want to play them in 5 games. So it's just dependent on where you're at on either side. Miami's the better roster, the better team. Usually if you start out slow and you got a lot of new faces, you can stumble a little bit. If you keep that Florida crowd in the game, it could end up being, not so well. And I understand, Cristobal, I was arguing with my son tonight at dinner. It's like, man, the only thing he scares me because he screws up a game, that's unnecessary. Like the Georgia Tech game, the whole crowd screaming and kneel, and he decides to still run. All they had to do is kneel on the ball and the game's over. And he decided to run, fumble, game over. They end up scoring, and it was just absolutely, terrible. I understand it, but Watt's a football player, and you get, they're figuring out a way. Parsons isn't a big guy by any stretch, but they're figuring out ways to get him going. You draft good football players and you'll figure it out. So I would have taken Watt over Taco all day, every day. You'll never sell me on a reason why we would pass up Watt to take Taco, but it is what it is. Can't turn back. You can go to and I'm not killing them for it. I was just saying I was at the draft, so it kind of sucked. But you can go at every draft and you can say, man, you could have got this guy, but you took that guy. So I'm not killing the Cowboys for it. I was just making like a little bit of a joke. And the Cowboys do need some. They work best with the thugs. And I was surprised Muhammad, the one Kane that was on our team, they ended up cutting him, and I thought he did well. Yeah, Marinelli, he was the one pounding the table for Taco. I remember it. And is Kelly back? And we're gonna do one more round. And if
we're trying, if it drops off this time, I'm just gonna
call it a day. Call it a day.
I apologize, man. It's this. I don't know what the hell is going on, but we keep losing internet here. So
no, we're just. I mean, we talked about the draft. We were talking about like the players, the impact, and that kind of stuff. I mean, but really, is there any other topics that you guys in the chat want to talk? I started drifting off into college football. So how is Texas Tech? I mean, how are they? Do you think?
Well, we got one of our crazy, but we got 5. I think it was our first 5-star recruit at football, which are maybe second ever at wide receiver, Micah Hudson. So they've got a good young. Our running back is going to be he's going to be in the NFL next year. He's really good, but you need to give your gerbil Gil some skin. I'm at my girlfriend's house, Ultra. It's not my normal place. My place is still kind of under construction. What's going on? So we have no idea. Normally she's got some stable internet, but no idea what's going on. But
it can get funky. But hey, why we got a couple hundred of you guys hanging out with us? Make sure you hit that subscribe, like, share. We're very close. We're so close we could taste it to 3,000 subscribers. So do your boys a favor, hit that subscribe. If you're watching on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, slide over to YouTube, hit that like, hit the subscribe. Make sure you guys are doing that. But we do appreciate everyone on Twitter and all that other stuff too. Am I supposed to call that X from now on? I don't know. The other thing is our app. I've gotten a lot of good comments, and I appreciate the comments. I appreciate the messages. And I'm actually we're having a call on the 4th, I think next week. They've got some new stuff coming out, so they're bringing a lot of the the people that are partnered with them and finding out some new things going on. So I urge you again, download it, Autograph app. I made it very easy. You can go to cowboyscave.com, click on the link that's right on the homepage. It'll take you there. It's got Mike Tag already in there as a reference code. Make sure you use that and get yourself signed up. I'm telling you, won't be disappointed. Football season here, fantasy, all that stuff. It gives you the alerts, and you got some stuff from the cave in there. So make sure you guys check that out. Hit that like too. That way they know what we're all about. Right, Kelly?
Absolutely. I've checked the app out. I like it. It's easy to use, easy to navigate, and it's a good app.
Yeah. It's a sports app. It rewards fandom. So basically what it does is it takes all of the content that's around the internet and sucks it and puts it into one spot. So if you're a Cowboys fan, it gives you all of the bloggers, all of the Twitter stuff, all of the, a lot of the YouTube stuff, and you can kind of like your central hub, and it's free. And as you watch stuff, you gain points. And as you get points, they do fandom so that you can get tickets, you can get autograph stuff. It's co-founded by Tom Brady. He's been big on it, so it's really good. But hey, let's do not so soon. And again, if you die off, then we'll wrap it up. But Cleveland, is it ever too soon to just kind of talk a little bit about week 1? I mean, are we getting ahead of ourselves? But Nick, Chubb isn't going to play. Obviously, Watson will be there. You've got the Browns defense. You got the Cowboys offense, right? We should be high powered. You saw CD. He looks like in midseason form already. I guess he didn't need any training camp. What's your early read on this game? Was this the one that you had as a loss or a win? And are you changing your mind after you've seen a little bit more one way or the other?
I think that I might have had this one as a loss, but actually I feel like that we're going to win this game. I feel like there's some uncertainty up there in Cleveland. I think they've got a really good defense, but I'm not really overly scared of their offense. I know that Jerome Ford, the backup for Nick Chubb, is a pretty decent backup. And did pretty good in his stead last year, but there'll be no Nick Chubb week 1. There's been some rumors about Amari Cooper, possibly getting traded. And he said, you know what, I wouldn't mind that. Anytime you have one of your star wide receivers, though, talking about that he wouldn't mind getting traded, you have to wonder about his mental state, where he's at. And nobody more than Amari Cooper. I mean, he was criticized for disappearing in games and when he was with the Raiders, and then towards the end completely checked out. So what percentage are you going to get of Amari Cooper? Is he thinking, you know what, these guys are looking to trade me? You know what, to hell with them. So I think that the Cowboys get the win. I feel like we're in a better state than them right now. I feel like offensively, I feel like we are going to challenge them defense. That, you know, we're going to challenge that defense, and I think our defense is still going to be one of the better defenses in the NFL this year. And I think we go into Cleveland week 1 on the road and get the win, which I think will be a very good win for this very young Cowboys team. You know, going into a place like Cleveland, the dog pound, tough place to win, tough environment. You know, their fans are great, and but I think we're going to get this win here.
Yeah, this is one I had as a loss as well. I think, you know, opening on the road is never an easy thing. There's a lot of crowd excitement, right? Kickoff of the season. So it's going to be pivotal and important for Dallas to get off to a fast start. I think get the crowd out of it a little bit. And I think if Dallas plays ahead, I think that kind of gets to their strength on defense as well, being able to be more of a pass rushers. We've got obviously Parsons, get him to unleash a little bit. I think it's going to be a tough game. I think Dallas is going to win, but I think it's going to be a battle. And but I'm more confident now because what I've seen from the offensive line and really what I've seen on both sides of the line. I think the additions that Dallas made with some of the veteran additions is just it gives me a little bit of comfort. It gives me a little bit of stability, mindset. And the one concern you're like, you guys, you know, and I'm surprised you didn't say it, and I haven't said it yet, is you don't have Deron Bland. I mean, are you feeling that good about Carson's that you think Carson can come in and he's going to hold his own and be able to hold the fort down until Bland gets back?
Well, you know, it's going to be a challenge. You know, it's definitely not going to be easy. But I think if the Cowboys felt, now, I mean, there's not a lot of guys out there, but I think if the Cowboys were as worried, where they thought, you know what, this kid, if he hadn't shown what he had in preseason and training camp, then I think it might be a different story. But I think that they're thinking that he can at least hold the fort down until, you know, Bland comes back. So, you know, we'll see. I mean, you know, cornerback's a tough position to play and come out and play that and be good as a rookie. It's difficult, but we've seen it happen. We saw DaRon Bland come in his rookie season. What did he snag? 5 or 6 interceptions, I think, his rookie year. So let's hope that Kalen can come in and do the same. But yeah, I think our defense will still be solid. I think our offense can still be really good. I think we'll still have one of the top offenses in the league. I really do. I think that, you know, I was a little bit worried about the run game at first, that, you know, we don't have the right pieces in there. I like the Dalvin Cook thing. I was pounding the table to get Cook last year. You know, I don't think by any stretch of imagination to have all pro season, but I think him and Zeke together, I think that's a pretty good combo. In my opinion. And I think Rico Dowdle can also bring something good to the. I mean, I look back at the days when we had was it Marion Barber, Choice, Marion Barber, and was it Felix Jones?
Felix Jones, I believe.
That three, that was kind of a 3-headed monster there.
Julius, it was one of the two. I can't remember. Maybe it's Felix. Yeah.
But when we had those 3 running backs, I thought, you know, I always felt pretty good about it, because it was like there wasn't one running back that was going to, you know, take all the workload on. You had 3 guys that they all 3 got carries, and you knew you were going to see all 3 of them throughout the game, and they all brought their own, you know, their own little something to the game. And I feel like that can be the case here with this combination of, you know, Rico Dowdle and Zeke and Cook, and then you even got a little bit of you know, Deuce Vaughn as some gadget type plays, and see what they do with him. But yeah, I really feel I'm still high on this offense. So
yeah, I think the thing with those running backs, you just said, they all run the ball, you know, very hard, and they don't lose a lot of yards. I mean, they're always forward, so they don't have like a lot of those negative plays. It's not like, oh, you got the little guy that's, he's gonna be. He might break one for 80, but he might lose 5 or 6 yards here and there. And those can be difficult when you get in those long situations. So I think, like you said, it earlier, it might be cloud of dust. It may be 4 yards, maybe 3 yards, whatever it is. But I think they're going to be pushing that pile. And I think we got to know that offensive line. That offensive line is more of a physical offensive line. I think BB's shown a little nasty to him. I think obviously Guyton's got some nasty to him. I mean, and we don't want to forget about Hoffman. He's got some nasty. Tyler Smith. I mean, this offensive line is, it's going to get better. Don't get panicked early if you see some trouble along the way, but I think they're going to get better and better. Let's see. Cook and Zeke are going to get us conversions and goal line TDs. I think Zeke definitely, and I think Cook could as well. I think Cook's going to be able to move the chains. I think he's going to give us a little bit more maybe the bigger plays, than Zeke is at this point of his career. But they're both tough running backs. I mean, all 3 of them. Throw Rico in there; they're tough running backs. So I like what you said about that 3 running back system, because that did, it worked well for Dallas in those times.
Exactly. So I mean, I think we'll see some of that. I think we'll see a lot the same this year, and I think that obviously they brought Cooks in and gave him a workout and thought, hey, you know what, he looks good enough to go. So I liked him better than I did any of the other running backs that were sitting out there in free agency to be had. So I think that it's going to be exciting, man. I'm ready for it, and I'm ready for that, and I'm ready for some fantasy football. I will say, one of the things obviously that I just say something here about fantasy football. I went upstairs just to check, and as you know, I'm here staying at my girlfriend's. I went upstairs to check the Wi-Fi, and I'll tell you what, man, she's got her little kind of like librarian glasses on, and she's got a little pen and a pad in her phone, and I go, what the hell are you doing? And she's only played fantasy football. This will be her second year but she's researching right now. I told her, I said, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, ain't nothing sexier than that right there. I said, you stay right like that. We'll be wrapping this up soon. But
yeah.
I thought it was very cool and cute that she was doing that, researching her people. But fantasy football also, the Cowboys Cave fantasy football draft is coming up, and I'm ready for it. I know you're ready for it. Hopefully it's going to be either me or you that takes the title. And, last year I was a little salty that I came runner up to EJ. He won it, but I was, right there runner up. So hopefully for another. But I love that the football's back, but I do love fantasy football and that aspect of it, because that's a lot of fun too. So
yeah, it 100%. I had my first draft and did not take any Eagles, Giants.
Never.
I was it was nice because I wasn't forced to. I wasn't like in a bad spot where it's like, how can you really pass up, Brown, or how can you pass up, one of those guys? It's like, I'm glad I wasn't put in that position, or Barkley or any of that. I'd had to have to deal with it. So, but on that note, I mean, I mean, you looking at me or looking at your girl? I mean, there's no comparison. So we'll wrap this show up. We've been going an hour and 20. Again, if you guys came in late, we do apologize. Hollywood Henderson, we had to reschedule, so you got us instead. So, we appreciate it. This was all impromptu. We didn't even have anything set, so I was using overlays, and we're having conversations of stuff that I wasn't planning on having. I was just kind of trying to work ahead because I got a lot of stuff going on, but definitely appreciate the chat was fire. If you guys are on Twitter, again, do your guys a favor, come over to YouTube, hit that subscribe. We're so close to 3,000. We got a great giveaway at 3,000. We got even better ones at 5,000. So we got some work to do, and you guys can help support us. It's like I was telling you, we're a different show. I mean, there's so many great content creators. We like to try and bring maybe something a little different. We bring in some old school flair, bring in a lot of these interviews of these Cowboy greats, and then we bring in some new stuff, and obviously trying to get some new content, new ideas and new thoughts out. We got the Cowboys Cave tailgate party. We got it. We're fans, right? This is a fan show, so we love having you guys in there, and that's what it's all about. So definitely appreciate it. We're going to be getting a lot of these guys in as the season gets going. maybe getting some other content creators. We had a good time with that, bringing some enemies to the cave and breaking down some games. But we'll also bring some friends. I got to get Jay Tuck in here because his Knowles, they kind of they took
one.
I don't know how he's feeling. My Canes, I'm going to wait until after this game. If the Canes roll the Gators, then I'm going to have to call up Tuck and say, you need to come in here so I can, I got to return the favor because he's been giving me shit the last couple of years. So
you absolutely got to, man. I saw that. They dropped one into an unranked team. You hate to see it, but you love to see it, right? If you're a Cubs fan.
Yes, and definitely one more Sunday before NFL. I'm not going to say real football because college football I love. It's like NFL's here, but college is, it could be like 1A, 1B. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you what, man. I will tell you right now, man, I am thoroughly looking forward to waking up on Saturday, making me a Bloody Mary and going and sitting in front of the TV starting at noon and watching football pretty much all Saturday. That's what I plan to do, is watch college football. And I thank everybody that did show up in the chat. Like you said, echo that. Thanks for sticking with me on my Wi-Fi issues. I have no idea what's going on here. My girls told me, she said, you know what? I'm sorry. I will call the Wi-Fi people. She goes, it started dropping out the other day. It'll drop out completely, disconnect, and then reconnect. So thanks for bearing with me, man. It was just one of them damn days. And, started with Hollywood having to reschedule. And then
I think he jinxed us.
It did. And then it was the Hollywood jinx. I had things go crazy, but you know what? We managed. We rolled through it. Mike, you carried the ship when I was gone, and I, drop out, come back in, make things interesting on a Thursday night. But we got a super chat we're gonna have to read before we get out of here.
Apologize.
Chris Warden, first of all, thanks for the super chat. Says, evening, boys. I don't agree with our running back room being the worst in the league. Not saying we'll be great, but I do expect to be better than last year. Well, Chris, I will say for myself, I'm not sure who said we were the worst. I don't think we're the worst. I think that our running back room's actually not that bad now. I think it was a weakness before they added Dalvin Cook. I think we got better with the addition of Dalvin Cook. I feel better about it. I wanted a veteran presence, and when they added Zeke, I thought, okay, that's a little bit, but I wanted a little bit more. We got a little bit more now. I think the combination of those guys that we have now is not bad at all. So I'm definitely encouraged by it. And I think we're in better shape today with Cooks than we were a week ago without him. So
yeah. And hey, as we wrap it up, make sure if you guys are still hanging, hit that like button as you're leaving. If you didn't do it already, very, very important. If you're watching on another platform, head over to YouTube and hit that like button. Also, I will say, starting next week, we will be, if you guys want to donate and you're going to the Cowboys Cave tailgate party, we will have a Venmo, Cash App that you can make them just small donate, $10 if you're going to the Cowboys Cave tailgate party. It just helps cover the food expense. It helps cover drinks. If you can't do that, you don't like that, you want to just bring cash, you can. And if you don't want to bring anything, you still come. You don't need to donate to show up. If not, we got you covered. I don't want money to be a reason why you're not coming to hang out with us. But if you can make a small donation, it helps us buy the liquor, buy the beer, buy the food. It's all you can drink as long as it's there, right? I mean, hey, you guys drink it all. What are we going to do? But we had drinks left over, so we kind of overbuy to make sure everything's good. But again, you're gonna drink and eat more than the $10 to donate. So you'll be ahead of the game, right, Kelly?
Absolutely, man. And then Cuts has got his bottle openers going, $40 for that. Great addition to your man cave, a great commemorative item for to remember the tailgate by. All those proceeds do go towards the Cowboys Cave tailgate. So not only are you contributing towards the tailgate, but also for a good cause. And then you're also getting a great piece by one of the great artists out there. That's what he is. He's an artist. What he does, man, it's art and it's great stuff. So that'll be a fun thing to have and a good thing to add to your man cave or your garage or wherever you might be popping a cold one at.
Absolutely. And you can order them directly with Kutch. He's all his platforms. If you have any issues, just message Kelly and I and we'll get you hooked up. I told him he's going to make some that we'll have there too, for people. If you don't have the apps or any of that, you just want to bring cash, you can even just say, hey, hold me one, and we'll reserve you one as well. So we'll get it taken care of. But we are, man, it's football season. Saturday, my big ass is going to be sitting on the couch watching all these games. I'll be jumping off the couch for the Hurricanes. We're gonna have a little party. So I may pop in with a live either Twitter or maybe YouTube little video kind of showing you the Casa setup with the Canes. We got everything going to be going on, so it's going to be a lot of fun. If we're getting our ass kicked, you won't be hearing from me till Monday's show, so don't bother me. Don't be making fun of me either. But I think the Canes will get it done. So you guys have a good one. Kelly, have a great rest of your evening. Good weekend. Enjoy the college football. All you guys be safe. Hit that like on your way out. We'll see you. Take care.
Give me somebody that's hungry. Give me somebody that's hungry.